Hey guys, this is Pradipta and welcome back to another video. So today I'm gonna be talking about another one of favorite books of mine, and it's the classic. If you're a bookworm, you probably have heard of it a lot of times in a lot of places, and that book is called The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. So a little bit spoiler alert, if you are someone with a faint heart, if you're someone who gets hurt, who gets emotional very easily, be aware of this book, because this one will rip your heart apart. I mean, so tragically. This is so, with its beauty, I mean, it's so tragic and beautiful at the same time. So just be aware of that, alright? Our story follows this main character whose name is Liesel, and she's a 9-year-old Jewish girl in 1939 in Nazi occupied Germany. And she lost her family in war and starvation, and she lives in a foster home now. She goes through a lot of tough stuffs when she gets there at first, but slowly she begins to be friendly with the father and then eventually the mother. So her life gets completely changed when she finds this book by her little brother's grave, which is called The Gravedigger's Handbook. Hidden in the snow, she finds that book and her life is completely changed. I mean, she can't read yet, she's not old enough for that, but the connection she has with that book, the connection she has with the words, even without knowing them, is something truly magical. So as time approaches, Liesel grows up, and with help of her foster father, she learns to read. So begins the love story of Liesel with her books. She kind of starts to find an escape in her books, which we all, if we're bookworm, we can relate to, and that there's something really magical about it. So there's the story. This is basically a story of a girl reading books and being enhanced with it, and a girl occasionally stealing books, which we'll get to know more about when you read it. So as our story approaches and the war gets very more and more brutal, we follow our characters, and there comes another character, a Jewish fist fighter, who the Liesel's foster family finds themselves in a situation where they have to give shelter to this Jewish fist fighter in a Nazi occupied Germany. His name is Max. And so the story goes on, and you read a story so beautifully written, and it's something that will tear your heart apart and just warm your heart at the same time. The bonds, the relationships between all of them, the relationship of Liesel with her father, her foster father, of Liesel and Max, of Liesel and her foster mother, every one of these relationships. And there's this best friend of Liesel who, I mean, it's, that friendship means so much to me. I mean, it was so beautifully written, and every one of these characters are so detailed, and we get to know them very deeply. And obviously in wartime, in a very dark time, we get to know them, and it's so magical. My most favorite thing about this book is this: the writer, some parts of this book is narrated by Death, and since it's World War II, so Death is very busy. He keeps, I mean, it literally says like this, that he's very busy. He has to steal lives. He has to, what happens when he's doing that. I mean, it's narrated by Death, and it's something that I have never read in any books in my entire life, and that's such a horrifying but beautiful thing. And I was so amazed at first. The whole plot line got, I mean, I didn't even grasp it at the beginning. You know, I was like, what's happening? Who's telling the story? But you get to know that Death is narrating the story, and this book has a tagline, and that is, Death will visit the book thief 3 times. And these 3 times and more, Death narrates the story, and it's so beautiful and something you'll never read in any other book. Also, there are these very atmospheric scenes in this book. Like, there's a scene where Liesel gets trapped with her family and with her foster family and a bunch of other people, takes shelter in a bunker while there was going an air raid, which was very common in World War II as we know it. But she gets trapped there, and it's a very horrifying scene because that's the first time her town, the little town she lives in, gets bombed, and everyone is scared, the children are screaming, and it's such a horrifying scene. But then Liesel has her book with her and she starts to read out loud that book, and everyone gets quiet and everyone just listens to her just quietly, and while the bombs are going off outside. And that scene holds such a special place in my heart. I mean, it's, imagine being at the end of your life and then you're trying to find escape through arts, through books, which is so, I mean, the whole scene is so beautifully written. You're gonna be speechless with the whole writing style and the whole ideas of these scenes. Also, there's a scene in a very beautiful library which is called the Mayor's Library, which is very atmospheric as well. And there are scenes between Max and Liesel which are so wholesome, so beautiful. You'll fall in love with their friendship. I mean, this book has some very dark and gloomy things at its core, obviously, and as I said, this will tear your heart apart. But at the same time, it has scenes like these with Max and Liesel being friends, helping each other, Max being there for Liesel in numerous ways that you'll find out when you read this book. It's just something very beautiful and very human and very something that will stay close to my heart for a long time, probably forever. This book will stay my favorite book no matter how many World War II fiction books I read. This one will be always my number one, and I recommend it to everyone. I mean, also being a bookworm, you sort of relate to Liesel the whole time. She's trying to find escape in her books and she's going through so many things in life, and then she just dives into her books and forgets about everything else. That's something I related a lot with Liesel, and I know if you're a bookworm, you're gonna relate that too. Find that part relatable too. All in all, this is a very beautiful book which everyone should read, because it not only has the whole book vibe, but there's these scenes and there's the war in here is portrayed so in a very raw form, which you'll find very informative and very obviously tragic. But I think everyone should know that, everyone should read this, everyone should know what people went through at that time and what the sacrifices they made, which most of them went unnoticed, and most of them, I mean, they are not even mentioned in history, like the big lieutenants and everything, the big soldiers. But a little, like Liesel's foster mother, she's this housewife, but she does some very grave sacrifices that portrays, like, obviously when it's war, simple people like them makes a lot of sacrifices that goes completely unnoticed. And that is something I completely adored about this book, that it talks about that. I mean, I cried my eyes out after reading this book, and you'll probably too. But still, please go give this a read. It's amazing. It's so beautiful. It's just, it will be one of your favorite books ever. It's so beautiful. I mean, I cannot find enough adjectives to describe how beautiful this book was. So that's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching this video, and if you like my channel, if you like my videos, then click on the red subscribe button and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. And stay safe, stay happy, and happy reading.